We'd like to begin, so if everyone could please take their seats. We're starting the service.
I think the mic's
That means shh. See how well they listen to me?
Ah.
Is it loud enough?
I think
Okay.
it wasn't on. Yeah.
Okay.
Try again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try again. Please rise for the blessing over the candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom HaKippurim.
We'll begin our service on page 204.
Zaru ala tzadik, u'yishrei lev simcha. 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 Shiva Shemala, Uvishiva Shema
matai, al data makum vil data kahal, anu matirin litpalel im havaryanim, Beshiva shel mala, Beshiva shel matai, al data makum vil data kahal, anu matirin litpalel im havaryanim, Beshiva shel mala, Uveshiva shel matai, al data makum vil data kahal, anu matirin litpalel im havaryanim. V'sarei, v'charamei, v'kunamei, וכינויי וכינוסי ושבועות דין דורנה וריש טבנה ודחרימנה ודסרנה הנפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה כול הוני חרדנה והון כול הוני הון שירן שוויקין שביתין בטלין ובוטלין לא שירין ולא קיימין נדרנה לא נדרי ושרנה לשרי ושבועתנה לשבועות Kol Nidre Services וחרמי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבועות דין דורנה וריש טבנה ודחרימנה ודסרנה הנפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה יהון שרן יהון שרן יהון שרן שוויקין שביתין בטלין ובוטלין לא שירין ולא קיימין
udeagrina.
You may be seated. On Rosh Hashanah, I shared several poems with you by Rabbi Chana Yerushalmi. This is her newest, just saw this for today, for this Yom Kippur. And in it, it recognizes that this is a particularly difficult Yom Kippur for so many of us, and praying may be harder this year than in previous years. And so this poem addresses that and our hopes for what we can accomplish together as a community. Tonight in this sanctuary, let the prayers of my ancestors speak to me. Let the soulful music stir the goodness within me. Let the tears that fall somehow repair the brokenness that weighs me down. Tonight in this sanctuary, let the wood of the pews ground me. Let the silky swish of the talit embrace me. Let the truths in that velvet-wrapped parchment inspire me to keep believing in my neighbor. Tonight in this sanctuary, let the tendrils of dusk bring on a new dawn. Let the darkness in our hearts yield to hope. Let the pervading sadness linger in corners, fade away to faith restored and vows renewed. Tonight in this sanctuary, let the stillness of the hour bring me solace. Let the bonds of tradition link me more to you, and you let the mystery of what life is, of what holiness is, touch me not with dread, but with everlasting wonder. We continue in the middle of page 205.
ונסלח לכל הדת בני ישראל, ולגר הגר בתוכם, כי לכולם בשגגה. ונסלח לכל הדת בני ישראל, ולגר הגר בתוכם, כי לכולם בשגגה. ונסלח לכל הדת בני ישראל, ולגר הגר בתוכם, כי לכולם בשגגה. סלח נא לעוונם הזה כגודל חסדך, וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We turn to page 206 to recite specially on Shabbat. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, tov l'odod l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Lagi bracha zeh. Tzadik katamar yifrach keres b'avanon Shetulim beveit Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva keshenim verananim Adonai malach lavish lavish Adonai osi tazar afti kon tevel baltimo nachon kisacham ezma.
Please rise for the Baruch. We continue on page 207. be seated.
El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch L'Olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Amari V'Aravim.
Amen.
Page 208.
Avat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amechata, Torah Mitzvot, Chukim Mishpatim, Otanu Limadeta. Akein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shofeinu u'v'kumeinu, Nasiach b'chukecha. V'nismach divrei Toratecha, u'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, u'bahem negeh yamam v'layla. Ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch Atah Adonai. Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Amen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha beveitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha. Vayam Shema Shema. Ki me'ashamayim al haaretz, vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem, ve'asu lahem tzitzit, al kanfei bigdeihem ledorotam, ve'nanu al tzitzit hakanaf betil techelet, ve'haya lachem letzitzit. Uritem oto, uschartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, vasitem otam, ve'lo taturu, acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem, asher atem zonim achareihem, leman tizkeru, vasitem ekol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim leloechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 210. U'malchuto beratzon kiblu aleihem, Moshe Miriam uvnei Yisrael, lechan asher b'simcha rabba, v'yamru chulam.
Mikamoch aleim Adonai, Mikamoch anedar b'kodesh, norot tehilot, osef
Malechutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayom lifnei Moshe, ze'li anu ve'ameru,
Adonai Imloch le'olam va'ed.
V'nemar kivod Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo mi'ad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Go Yisrael.
Amen.
Continue on page 211. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, V'amidinu malkeinu l'chaim, l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidinu malkeinu l'chaim, l'chaim. Ufra ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha, baruch atah Adonai. Apari sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat ledorotam berit olam, ledorotam berit olam. Hashamayim ve'et haaretz, v'vayom hashvi, Shabbat vayinafash, vayinafash. Ki vayom hazeh yichaper aleichem, letaher etchem, mikol chatotechem, lifnei Adonai titeharu. Yitkadav yitkadash shemi rabbah, ve'amad ivra kirutei, ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon ev'yomechon, uv'chayedechu beit Yisrael, v'agalav yizman kariv imeru. Amen. Yesh shemi rabbah mevarach, ve'olam, ulam yomaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramah v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu leila leila mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'yalema v'meru.
Please rise for the silent Amidah, which begins on page 214. I'm sorry, 213. For those of you that need to finish the Amidah, please take your time, and for everyone else, please rise. We turn to page 222.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו אלוהי אברהם ליצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון כונס שמיים וארץ מגן אבות בדברו מחיי מתים במאמרו המלך הקדוש שאין כמוהו המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו כי בם רצה להניח להם כי בם רצה להניח להם לפניו נעבוד מרב הפחד ונודע לשמו בכל יום תמיד מאוד הברכות אל ההודעות אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי ומניח בקדושה לעמדו שני עונג זכר למעשה בראשית אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו רצה במנוחתנו קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך שבנו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך וטהר ליבנו לעובדך באמת והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך ואנוכו ישראל מקדשי שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. You may be seated. We continue on page 223.
Yeah. Page 224. Shomea tefillah adecha kol basar yavo kol basar lehishtachavot lefanecha Adonai. Yavo v'yishachavu lefanecha Adonai v'chabdu lishmecha lechu niranena l'Adonai nariel etzor yishenu nekadma fanav b'todah bizmirot narielo asher lo ayamu asahu v'yabeshet yadav yatzaru Asher biyado nefesh kol chai veruach kol bisarish veruach kol bisarish Asher biyado nefesh kol chai veruach kol bisarish. Turn to page 226. Elerech apayim ata uval rachamim nikreta v'derech teshuva horeta gedulat rachamecha v'chasadecha tizkor hayom uv'chol yom lezera yedidecha tifen elenu b'rachamecha ki ata ubal rachamim batachanun uvitfila panecha nekadem keodat aleanan nav mikedem mecharon apcha shuv kemo b'toratcha katuv uvtzel kenefecha nechese v'nitlonan keyom yired Adonai banan tavor al pesha v'timche asham keyom yityatzeh v'mosham Tazin shavatenu v'takshiv menu mamar keyom vayikra v'shem Adonai vayavor Adonai al panav vayikra Adonai el rachum v'chanun erech apayim v'rav chesed v'emet Notzer chesed la'alafim, notzer avon v'afesha v'chata v'nakeh. V'salachta lavonenu chatatenu u'nchaltanu. Slach lanu avinu ki chatanu, mechalanu malkenu ki fashanu. Ki ata Adonai tov v'salach, ki ata Adonai tov v'salach, ki ata Adonai tov v'salach, v'rav chesed l'chol korecha. Page 227. First two verses and the last two verses. Please join with me. Ki nekach hamer biyad hayotzer birtzoto marchiv uvirtzo mekatzer kein anachnu biyadecha chesed notzer labrit habet ve'al tifen le'yetzer labrit habet ve'al tifen le'yetzer kineka even biyad hamsatet birtzoto chez uvirtzoto mechatet kein anachnu biyadecha mechayehu memotet labrit habet ve'al tifen le'yetzer Kinei kariya biyad harokem virtzoto me'asher virtzo me'akem kein anachnu biyadecha elkanu v'enokem labrit habet ve'al tifen le'yetzer Kinei kakesef biyad hatzoref birtzoto mesagseg uvirtzo mitzaref Kein anachnu biyadecha mamsilim azor teref labrit habet ve'al tifen lietzer labrit habit ve'al tifen lietzer. Page 229. El melech yoshev al kisei rachamim mitnaheg b'chasidut malchal avanot amo ma'avir rishon marbe mechila lechatayim uslicha lefoshim oseh tzedakot im kol bachsar varuach lo chiratam tigmol el horei talanu lomar shalosh esrei zechor lanu hayom brit shalosh esrei kemoshe odata le'anav mikedem kemoshe katuv vayered Adonai ben am v'yitet Sevi Mosham, Vayikra V'Shem Adonai, Vayavor Adonai al panav, Vayikra Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, no say avon ba'fesha v'chata v'nakeh v'salach talavoninu u'chatatinu u'nchaltanu slach lanu avinu ki chatanu mechalanu malkinu ki fashanu ki atu Adonai tov v'salach Ki ata Adonai tov v'salach, Ki ata Adonai tov v'salach, v'rav chesed l'chol korecha.
Please turn to page 233 and we'll rise as the ark is opened.
Avotenu. Slach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu.
Be seated. Please rise for Ashamnu. We're on page 235.
Ashamnu, Baganu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu, Dofi, Ha'avinu, Ve'irshanu, Zanu, Chamasnu, Tafalnu, Sheker, ay, 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 ay. Kizavnu, Latnu, Maranu, Niatnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu, Oref, ay, 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 Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu, ay, 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 ay,
We remain remain standing and turn to page 237, and let's read the Al-Chet in English responsively. We have sinned against you unwillingly and willingly.
We sinned against you through hardening our hearts.
We have sinned against you thoughtlessly.
We sinned against you in idle chatter.
We have sinned against you through sexual immorality.
We sinned against you openly and in private.
We have sinned against you knowingly and deceitfully.
We have sinned against you by the way we talk.
We have sinned against you by defrauding others.
We have sinned against you in our innermost thoughts.
We have sinned against you through forbidden trysts.
We have sinned against you through empty confession.
We have sinned against you by scorning parents and teachers.
We have sinned against you purposefully and by mistake.
We have sinned against you by resorting to violence.
Public desecration of your name.
We have sinned against you through foul speech.
We have sinned against you through foolish talk.
We have sinned against you through pursuing the impulse to evil.
We have sinned against you wittingly and unwittingly.
For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. We have sinned against you through denial and deceit.
We have sinned against you through taking bribes.
We have sinned against you by clever cynicism.
We have sinned against you by speaking ill of others.
We have sinned against you by the way we do business.
We have sinned against you in our eating and drinking.
We have sinned against you by greed and oppressive interest.
We have sinned against you through arrogance.
We have sinned against you in everyday conversation.
We have sinned against you through conspiratorial glances.
We have sinned against you through condescension.
We have sinned against you through stubbornness.
For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. We have sinned against you by throwing off all restraint.
We have sinned against you by rashly judging others.
We have sinned against you by plotting against others.
We have sinned against you.
We have sinned against you through superficiality.
We have sinned against you through stubbornness.
We have sinned against you by rushing to do evil.
We have sinned against you through gossip.
We have sinned against you through empty promises.
We have sinned against you through baseless hatred.
We have sinned against you by betraying trust.
We have sinned against you through coming to confusion.
For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. You may be seated. We continue in the middle of page 245.
Yitzgadav, Yitzgadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'amad Divra Kirutei, Ve'amlich Malchutei, V'chayachon V'yomechon, V'chayetchu Beit Yisrael, V'agalav Yizman Kariv, Ve'imeru Amen. Yesh Merabah Mevarach, Le'olam Ulamei Omayah, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitbar, V'yitrumam, Itnase vita dar vita la vita la shemei tekudesha shemei tekudesha brichu le'ela mikol birkata v'shirata tishbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alemai v'imeru amen tikabal tzaloteu nevot chodecho Yisrael kodam avon divishmaya v'imeru amen yesh rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imeru amen Ose shalom bimromav Uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imeru amen.
Yes, this is going to be a multimedia presentation sermon, so we'll see how it goes. Inspired from all of the creativity that we used during COVID. One of the phrases that we've all heard a lot since October 7th, I've heard it twice in the past week. I'm sure you've heard it. You might have even said it. And it is, October 7th was the worst day in Jewish history since the Holocaust. The largest number of Jews were murdered in one day since the Holocaust. I have to tell you, I've had since the very beginning, and it continues, a very visceral, negative reaction to that. What it felt to me from the very beginning, and what it still feels to me now, is that in order to have people sympathize with us, non-Jews, and even maybe some Jews, we had to compare this horrible, tragic, disgusting day to the Holocaust. Because if we had just talked about this as one more step in a long Jewish history, or just to be able to stand on the horror of that day on its own, well, we knew that we would not get the sympathy that we wanted. But since, at least at this moment, most people still think the Holocaust was a bad thing, I think we use that to try and have other people put it in context. October 7th was a horrific terrorist attack on the state of Israel. It was barbaric, it was brutal, and it happened in large part because of the unthinkable failure of the leadership of the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, and the Israeli government. It was a failure of leadership in the Most High. It was unthinkable to any of us and to any Israeli that the IDF could fail so horrifically. And the outcome of that failure meant that the rank and file of the IDF had to pick up the pieces. Many years ago, one of my trips to Israel, we were taken to see the new border technology. We were shown the cameras where soldiers, mostly female soldiers, would sit at the cameras and watch the border day and night. And if a goat's hoof went over the line, they sounded the alarm. They were ignored. And Hamas was able to knock out the technology immediately. And because they took over the central command for the Gaza envelope, and because they slaughtered every single person that was caught in a car on the only road leading into Gaza or into that area, nobody knew what to do, and nobody could get in to help. We've all seen the pictures of the burned out cars all over the road, each with people who had been caught there and slaughtered. There are many stories of individual heroism from that day. We saw the story on the news of a soldier who called their commander and said, "What should I do?" And the commander said, "I don't know. Do whatever you think is best." And so he overloaded his helicopter with more people than the helicopter could hold, kind of softly crash landed in the Gaza envelope, and began to fight off the terrorists. And there are many, many stories like that, Probably the most well-known was the grandfather, who was a former IDF, retired, who took his wife, drove his car, went as far as he could, fought his way in, got to his family's kibbutz, fought off terrorists in the kibbutz before he could finally get to their house. And when he got there, his grandchildren said, Saba higia, Grandpa's here. And that day, from all over the country and the globe, young Israelis showed up to serve. I could describe it to you, but nothing will show it more than an El Al commercial that came out last fall. This isn't a plug for El Al, but you know, they were the only airline flying, and they were certainly the only airline that was open to take as many soldiers as they could possibly carry. So I'm going to show you the El Al commercial. It's in Hebrew, so let me set the scenario. Young Israelis, after their military service, love to travel. Many of them, as many as they can, spend a year traveling abroad to places near and far. Have you ever traveled anywhere and not heard Hebrew? We have heard Hebrew in the most obscure places. I sometimes wonder who was left in Tel Aviv. And also, in addition to all of the young Israelis post-army who like to travel the world, it was Chag month. School doesn't start in Israel until after all the Chagim are over. So school children have not yet started school, university hasn't started, and people get a lot of vacation time. So it also happens to be a very popular time at this time of year for Israelis to travel. So what you're going to see in this commercial are the young Israeli travelers receiving a text on their phone, getting the first information about October 7th, and flocking to the airport to go home to serve. I'm not sure what this means mathematically, but we were told that of all of the people that they expected to serve, 125% of those eligible served. Everyone wanted to do their part. Now, most of the Navy was not called up, and we have a friend's son who's still bitter and feels badly that he could not do his service. Please also note that you'll see on this commercial, what we know to be true, is there weren't enough seats. So El Al let people come and sit on the floor of the plane. And so I want to show you just this brief video that's called Fly with the Degel, Fly with the Israeli Flag.
אחי, זה אמיתי? מה זה?
חלון פתוח, תבוא ברוח, תלטף אותה עסקו. צריכים לזוז בזה, אני בטוח, לארוז לנוע, תוך כדי נבין לאן. חיכינו די, אז רק תגידי יד ביד נשלב, ונהיה לב פועם וציפור. רגע ברגע הולך.
טוב, אמא לוקחים לנו את הטלפונים, אל תדאגי,
על חוף מבטחים תפתחי את ליבך, תראי איך ברגע הכל יחייך.
שלום. בכל חיילים וחיילות הסדיר והמילואים, השמיעו שם אל על, ואנחנו מצדיעים לכם, ולכל הכוחות שעדיין נלחמים בשומרים עליהם, מקווים לימים טובים יותר.
לארוז לנוע, תוך כדי נבין לאן.
טסים עם הדגל, אל על, הכי בבית בעולם.
I watched these videos like several dozen times to try to, I don't know, not be so reactive. What happened on October 7th is not in any universe comparable to the Holocaust, because of these young people, because of their willingness to give up their lives, and they did. Over 700 soldiers have lost their lives October 7th, fighting in Gaza, and now in Lebanon. We rightfully focus on the empty seats at the hostage tables. You've all seen pictures of these all over the world, of the Shabbat table set, and all the seats around the table are empty, waiting, longing, praying for our hostages to come home. Israel is ripped apart as long as even one hostage remains captive. But there are also over 765 empty seats that will never be filled again. And though it breaks our hearts, we know the numbers will rise. And we need to understand and believe in the heroism of these young people. A friend of mine posted this recently on her Facebook page called "To Be a Mother in Israel." To be a mother in Israel is to wake your kids up for their first day of school, one kid nervous but excited, the other ready to fight about anything, knowing there are so many other mothers in this country who would give anything to have a kid to wake up for something. It's to make your kids their traditional pancakes in the shape of their grade in school, and know that sometime this year, one set of pancakes will be shaped like the IDF logo. It's to see hundreds of school kids walking to school dressed not in traditional white shirts to celebrate the start of the school year, but in yellow to acknowledge our hostages. And have to tell your kids that actually several hostages were returned last night, but not alive. It's to pack up your eldest child and drive him to his pre-Army Leadership Academy, but all the time be thinking about Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who went to the very same leadership program just a few years ago, whose death was announced this morning. To be a mother in Israel is to cry tears of sadness, tears of worry, and tears of relief, all before you've had your morning cup of coffee. Even with all of the protests to release the hostages over these last weeks, even with 100,000 people protesting before the invasion of Lebanon, which made it too dangerous, begging the government to reach a ceasefire and a hostage release. As far as I know, not one soldier has refused to serve. Immediately on October 7th, we know that all of these young Israelis flocked to their command centers. And while Israel did not invade Gaza immediately, they knew it was inevitable. Reservists spent months serving away from their families, from their children, from their jobs, and even after that stint, they've been called to serve again and again with no end in sight. I think it's hard to imagine the unbelievable sacrifice that this has taken. On the second day of Rosh Hashanah, I always like to share Israeli poetry that is not only meaningful, but helps us have a deeper understanding of Israel and Israeli society. Our friend Ethan Padnos, who has spent months serving in the reserves, his first job when he was called up on October 7th was to clean up the kibbutzim on the Gaza border. He's back in the reserves again. And last fall, he sent me this video. It was a very popular video, and this one has subtitles. I want to remind you that every Israeli after October 7th thought to themselves, it could have been me and my family. Every Israeli parent thought, if the terrorists came to my house, where would I have hidden my child? In the dryer, in the closet? Where and how could I have possibly kept them safe? So in a moment, I'm going to show you a video called Harbu Darbu, and I want to tell you a little bit about it in a piece that was written about the song in the Jerusalem Post. There is a long tradition of some iconic song that comes out of a war, that becomes a song that is identified with that war. said Hillel Wax, a veteran Israeli music promoter. And while it's early days and new songs are being released daily, the new angry rap anthem by the duo Nes Vestilla, released at this point, it was about a month ago, that was last November, could turn out to be that song for this war, he said. Nes Vestilla is composed of Nessie Alevi and Dror Soroker, two musicians just starting their careers, and the song is an angry rap tune that many young Israelis are embracing. It has nearly 8 million views on YouTube. This was a year ago. There's many, many more now. Millions more on Spotify, with several remixes already making the rounds. It's topped all the Israeli charts and looks set for a top spot in the year-end music polls voted on by radio listeners. Harbu Darbu is actually an Arabic war cry from Syria that's crossed over into Hebrew slang. The reporter says, war songs give a feeling of togetherness and solidarity. They are kind of a collective therapy, a rallying point of what we feel. Clearly, what the fans of Harbu Darbu are feeling is very strong anger, and they connect this anger firmly to Jewish tradition, calling Hamas and its supporters children of Amalek. The story of Amalek, which some of you may not be familiar with, is actually a story from the book of Exodus from the Torah. When the children of Israel were just freed from Egypt and they were wandering in the desert, Amalek attacked the Israelites from behind. The people in the rear were always the most vulnerable, so they primarily killed women and children. And we're told in our tradition never to forget what Amalek did to us and to blot out their names forever. So in rare Jewish fashion, you're supposed to remember to forget to remember. I want you to know I'm not implying in any way that we believe or that our tradition believes that Palestinians are descendants of Amalek, but when you talk about the Hamas terrorists, we often turn to the archetypes in our tradition to understand and give context to what's happened. The connection to October 7th feels very real to Israelis, since so many of the atrocities that day were against the most vulnerable, young people, children, unarmed people, so many children. Some of you may find this video shocking. I want to warn you, if you're wearing pearls, clutch them. There's a lot of swearing. A lot. They're singing to soldiers, so we're just going to flow through the charts. But it's also a very militaristic video, and it speaks of inflicting pain and suffering on those who planned, perpetrated, and supported the massacre. It certainly does not call for harming civilians, but it does call on vengeance for those that planned, perpetrated, and supported. I'm trying to head off any complaints before they come. But I feel like if you thought in November that Israel had to invade Gaza, then I would say you probably shouldn't be critical of this video. This is something that young people use to gear themselves to go into battle. If you thought they shouldn't go in, then you can call me and be critical. What if you had to go in? What if your child had to go in or your grandchild had to go in? I hope that you will try to understand this video as a way in which a soldier could mentally prepare himself or herself to risk their lives. I know what this video meant to our friend Ethan. In case it's not clear, the song is calling up all of the units of the IDF. And another thing to note, that they call on the army to kill Hamas and Hezbollah leaders, and the names they mention have all been killed. Okay, Harbu Darbu.
חבורת עכברים פאקרים יוצאים מהמחילה, עושים אבו עליות טמבונים, וואלה מילה לא תהיה מחילה. על מי אתה חושב שאתה בעל פה צועק פלסטין בחינם? תפי, יא בני עמלק, חבלה. שמאל ימין שמאל איך כל המדינה במודים מגליל עד אילת. לוחמים לוחמות תוגרפן ומגלב קרקל ברדלס. הבאנו את כל הצבא עליכם ונשבע לא תהיה מחילה תפי, יא בני עמלה כל היחידות מוכנות גולני, נחלאוי שריון, איפה גבעתי חיל הים, חיל האוויר תותחנים, צנחנים כל היחידות בצה"ל במוד לחרבו דרבו על הראשך גולני, נחלאוי שריון, איפה גבעתי כל הלוחמות באוויר על עזה איסוף וכפיר כל היחידות בצה"ל באים לחרבו דרבו על הראש שלהם
את התחת כי זה חיל האוויר מרגישים את התל אביב כל הבנות דופקות לחיילים בבתים וגם הוא בחדשת פתאום נראה לי חתיך הם צועקים עלי חינם פלסטין אבל משום מה זה נשמע לי כמו מבצע לחגים חצי דקה וכל המדינה במדים במילואים בסדיר כולם בשביל אמא ואבא כל החבר'ה שלי בחזית אחת לסבתא וסבא חושבים שמות על הפגזים לילד בעוטף עזה גליל עליון ומרכז גם כולם מוכנים לקטה רפה
כל היחידות מוכנות גולני, נחלאוי שריון, איפה גבעתי חיל הים, חיל האוויר תותחנים, צנחנים כל היחידות בצה"ל במוד לחרבו דרבו על הראשך גולני, נחלאוי שריון, איפה גבעתי כל הלוחמות באוויר על עזה איסוף וכפיר כל היחידות בצה"ל באים לחרבו דרבו על הראש שלהם עוד איקס לנשקי כל קלפי ג'ומו חבו שנאפי להלכים גשם כחבות כל קלפי ג'ומו כל מי שתכנן, כל מי שתמך, כל מי שביצע, כל מי שרצח כל קלפי ג'ומו הסתבכת כל קלפי ג'ומו שמעת כל קלפי ג'ומו נסראללה כל קלפי ג'ומו מוחמד אף כל קלפי ג'ומו עניה כל קלפי ג'ומו אבו בקלאווה כל קלפי ג'ומו בלח על גיטו על ליפה מהקליפה כל קלפי ג'ומו כל היחידות בצה"ל באים לחרבו דרבו על הראש שלהם וואי
You okay? These will be posted. Feel free to share your friends so they can watch this sermon. Full disclosure, I find this video actually really moving as an expression of the unbelievable rage that I feel towards what Hamas did and is continuing to do. But the one that really gets to me is when he says, for Saba and Savta. Right, she says, for my grandma and my grandpa, the pioneer generation that founded the state of Israel, this was supposed to be the spoiled generation that was too materialistic and too selfish to sacrifice themselves. And this is why October 7th is in no way comparable to the Holocaust. The military intelligence failure was huge, but these young people stepped up. And from the reports that I read, the morale is high. And now, of course, after a year of daily rocket fire by Hezbollah, averaging 25 a day for the past year, after 2 attacks by Iran, after a year of 70,000 Israelis having to flee their homes in the north and live like refugees in their own country, these same young people are now serving on the northern border and need to fight in Lebanon. All over Israel for the last year, there is the strong belief that the government has failed them both militarily and civilly. When I was in Israel, we heard over and over that civil society had to step up because the government was AWOL. The story seems to be turning a page now, getting to Chania and Tehran with the beeper and pager attacks, the targeting and death of Nasrallah, and now his apparent successor, with Israel knocking out a good number of launchers and weapons destroyed in Lebanon. The narrative is turning, and the IDF has restored many of their citizens' faith in it. While there is unbelievable anger at the government, there is still an incredible connection to this civilian army. It is really a people's army. I'm going to show you one more music video. This one's G-rated. The man singing in the video is Omri Glickman. Glickman is an Israeli singer and co-founder, along with his sister Shelley, of the band Hatikva 6, a popular Israeli reggae and pop group. The band was formed in 2003, and it took its name from Omri and Shelley's address growing up in Ramat HaSharon on Hatikva Street. Many of the group's songs talk about the mosaic that is Israeli life and society, and this newest song is called Superheroes, and it was released this past February. It salutes the soldiers and the reserves who are fighting this war. The song was born out of a Facebook post written by Asaf Perry on his private account. He said, "The entire country is full of superheroes." The post went viral and received more than 10,000 shares, and Glickman was moved by the post and decided to turn it into a song. Some days after the October 7th attack, Glickman wrote, "I hate these days so much, but I love this nation so much. And I ask myself, what will happen the day after? What will we look like?" I think he's a little optimistic here, but if you ask me, the days of disagreement between us are over simply because we don't have that privilege anymore. As I said, I think he was overly optimistic about Israeli society not breaking over political lines, but this song is a tribute to the love of his country and of the people of Israel, a nation of superheroes.
אז המורה לתנ"ך בגבעתי, המורה ללשון מודיעין, השכן מלמעלה קבלן עבודות, אבל חודש כבר במילואים. עורכת הדין היא קמבצית, עושה משמרות באוגדה. אחיה איש הייטק בכיר, עכשיו הוא צלף על גגות ברצועה. מנהל את הסניף הקשוחה של הבנק, היא סמג"ד ביהודה ושומרון. דורון הוא בעל חנות צעצועים, עכשיו הוא מ"פ בשריון. והמדי שלנו כפרה, שלרוב מזמר בקיסריה. הוא לוחם הנדסה, מתאושש בגבורה, אחרי שנפצע בלב עזה. נכון כולם נראים רגילים, אבל אנחנו עם של גיבורי על. לכל אחד תמיד מסתתר חייל, מוכן להציל את העולם. יש את הנהג אוטובוס של דן, זה שתמיד עומד בזמן. הוא עכשיו מפקד סוללת תותחנים בדרום, ליד נרעם. יש סטודנט בטכניון, באמצע תואר ראשון. הוא סרן במיל בעוצבת הגליל, כבר חודש בגבול הצפון. יש פה דוגמנית פרמדיקית, יש פה חשמלאי שהוא מגיסט. יש את יוני נגן סקסופון מחונן, שהוא קודם כל מטקליסט. יש לכולם ארון נסתר, או ארגז גדול מאובזר. יש פה סט של מדים וגלימת מילואים, מוכנות תמיד לאתגר. נכון כולם נראים רגילים, אבל אנחנו עם של גיבורי על. בכל אחד תמיד מסתתר חייל, מוכן להציל את העולם. וזה לא משנה אם באמצע חיים או באמצע משחק כדורגל, כולם יעזבו את הכל בשנייה אם יקרא להם הדגל. פה זה לא יקום מקביל, לא מציאות של מרוול. זה הסיפור שלנו, עם ישראל. זה הסיפור שלנו. נכון כולם נראים רגילים, אבל אנחנו עם של גיבורי על. לכל אחד תמיד מסתתר חייל, מוכן להציל את העולם.
On our Israel trip in May, our tour guide left Gaza, toured with us for 3 days, went home at the end of the 3rd day to see his wife and children, and then was returning to Gaza the next day. It's hard to remember the protests of last year against judicial reform, but those hundred thousands of people that were protesting in the streets for months, waving Israeli flags and insisting on their connection to their Zionism, people were shocked by them because they thought this generation was too soft and too spoiled to stand up for a cause week in and week out. And these, of course, are the same people that rush to serve. I work out with a woman whose grandson, she's from Israel, her grandson was here this summer. She begged him not to go back to Israel because she's so worried about him, and she knew he would have to serve in the north. And she said, no. He said, no, I have to go back, and he went back. Please remember that the story of Am Yisrael, the story of thousands of years, helpless years, ending in the Holocaust, was rewritten by the modern state of Israel. My final source is not a song, but a poem, not written by an Israeli, but written by my new favorite rabbi from Baltimore, Chana Yerushalmi. She's been writing these poems every week since October 7th, and they're beautiful and powerful and meaningful, and I mentioned already, but she now has 2 collections of poetry that you can purchase, and the proceeds are going to help rebuild Kibbutz Nir Oz. So let me end with this poem. It's called A Prayer for Seeing a Soldier. At the corner of Kaplan and Ibn Gviril, you stand next to me waiting to cross. A tower of olive with dust on your boots, and I barely subdue a primal urge to wrap my arms around you. Soldier, what can I say to you? For centuries, we had no defenders, just amulets and allies, and now your body is but one brick in a massive wall of protection. There is a prayer for seeing a rainbow, but what is the prayer for seeing a soldier? We'll rise as the ark is opened for Aleinu. We're on page 246.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'yotzer breshit, shelo atzanu kiyoyei aratzot, velo samanu kimishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtahavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notet shamayim ve'osed haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imal u'shchinatu zo v'govhei meromim u'Eloheinu einod Amen Malkeinu Efesulato Kakatu Bitorato Ve'adatayom Ve'ashevota Elevavecha Ki Adonai Hua Elohim Vashamayim Nimal Ve'al Haaretz Mitachat Enod כן אקבל לך? ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated.
We turn to page 248 for the Psalm for the season. התכוונתי לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים. קבל אדוני חזק ואמץ ליבך, וקבל אדוני.
We turn back to page 247. We recall the yortzites this evening of Avram Brenner, Bertha Wagner, Debbie Levin, Esther Rubenstein, Fred Steinloff, Helen Glazer, Eileen Garoon, Irving Elias, Joanne Finfer, Joyce Freed, Leona Kahn, Lily Perlson, Lily Berry, Martin Weisberg, Mordechai Surzik, Rochelle Fisher, Sarah Halab, Serene Holzman, Sylvia Good, Tyler Michelle, Victor Samaral, and William Levin. Also, our tradition is to read a list of all of the deaths of congregants or their close relatives, and I apologize in advance if anybody's name was left off the list. Emmanuel Raphael Arbel, Harvey Barrick, Esther Berliant, Ronald Botten, Elfrida Bressman, Gayla Kahn, Sylvia Calistine, Iris Montero D'Souza, Mark Fogelstein, Dr. Walter Freed, Roberta Garfinkel, Dr. Jay Goldstein, Sagel Gutel, Gerald Graff, Eileen Hirsch, Marla Hoffman, Ginny Germanic, Herbert Germanic, Rabbi Shlomo D. Levine, Dr. Lawrence B. Metrick, Claire B. Neimer, Fred Rothschild, Sandy Rothstein, Adrian Samuels, David J. Schmickler, Richard M. Simon, Dennis Sloan, Bruce Smiley, Ben Solotoroff, Lynn Steinberg, Harvey Teitelbaum, Norton Wasserman, and Shirley Weiss. All mourners and anyone observing a yortzeit, please rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayedechol beit Yisrael, b'agalau v'zman karib v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha barichu, la'ela la'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran b'yalma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlomo rab amin shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. You may be seated. As every year, grocery bags are waiting outside for us to take them home, to fill them up, and to bring them back. The container is already at the congregation. So please, beautiful haftarah from tomorrow morning from Isaiah talks about the fast that we desire. The fast that we desire is to use this experience of being hungry to remind us of our responsibility to feed those in need, to feed others. And so we will give you the opportunity to do that mitzvah right away by taking a grocery bag home with you. Another tradition that we have at our congregation is to read the names of newborns that have been born since last year's holidays, children and grandchildren of our members. And again, I apologize if we forgot anybody's name inadvertently. Benjamin Donald Blitz, Arthur Mayer Treitman, Sylvia Rose Greenstein, Zahavi Meir Breyer Miller, Luke Allen Morris, Lucy Rose Cowan, Rory Marie Downs, Amitai Raphael Feinberg, Ada Sue Walt, Dylan Sarah Feiger, Max Lowe, Eliana Abigail Ezriel, Logan James Rovin, Jordan Ernest Levy, and Simon Israel Brenner. That was not since last high holiday, sorry. Too old, our grandson. We continue with Yigdal on page 250.
So
May your cherished hopes be fulfilled in your lifetime. May you be worthy of life eternal, and may your ideals persist throughout the generations. May your heart be filled with understanding, may your mouth speak wisdom, and may your tongue give expression to song. May your eyes direct you straight forward, may they shine with the light of the Torah, and may your countenance be as radiant as the bright firmament. May your lips speak knowledge and righteousness, and may your feet swiftly take you to places where the words of God are heard. Gemar Chatima Tova.
It's recalled.